Did that work?
Um,
All right.
Yep. Says offline on the stream, but it's there.
What? Really? It says
It's got to give a. It's probably trying to catch up.
is it?
um,
Oh
you
no,
mind
I
giving
could I
me
could see it from my side. I could see it.
you mind giving me the link to that? There we
Yeah,
go.
no, we're good. We're good.
Do you
Did
guys
you
do you
just
guys see
like?
it?
Yep, we're up.
That's pretty cool, man. I'm not gonna lie.
uh,
All right, guys. See if that worked. Okay, it's coming online. All right, guys. So,
Alex is still the wolf. I like it.
all right. So this is gonna be the first, I guess, podcast here or tech talk, whatever, of for custom PC review. And yeah, so today is Saturday, January 14th, 2017, and we have me, Sam, the editor in chief, and then we have Donnie, our GPU editor, and we also have Alex, who happens to be a wolf today.
Oh, he's a wolf every day.
I don't know. I watched that movie Wolf of Wall Street, and it kind of resonated with me.
Why? Because you're a douchebag.
I mean, yes and no. There's many reasons for it, but yeah.
Uh,
All right, we'll go with
All right.
that.
All right, so today we're gonna cover a couple things. We had CES that just happened not too long ago, so we're gonna go ahead and cover that since we've been there. Couple things
Except
happened
for
at
me, I
CES.
wasn't there.
Oh yeah, except
Yeah.
for Alex.
He was in the forest doing wolf things.
But yeah, so let's go ahead and dive into the whole CES coverage. And for you guys watching the podcast, we have everything on our site. So go ahead and head over to custompcreview.com if you want to go ahead and follow us. But what do you guys want to cover first? We're gonna start with the big news about Razer, or what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think we could do the Razer news.
All right, cool. So
No one else has covered it, obviously. So
let me see if I can find the tab here. Let's go ahead and
We are extra prepared for you.
yeah. Well, I had a lot of tabs, and then I realized I had way too many tabs, so that was a little unfortunate. But all right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is so Donnie and I we
what it is.
stopped by the Razer booth, and they had a couple prototype. I guess gaming devices. I mean, they had a laptop and then they had a projector on display. You guys can obviously check it out. The link should be in the description. But the first thing was Project Valerie. So, Donnie, what'd you think? I mean, it's interesting.
So yeah, I got
laptop.
to play Battlefield 1 on this triple 4K monitor setup that they did, and basically what they're envisioning is that the two panels um, that slide out are going to be behind the first display, and it's just going to slide out on a motor. No, like the user isn't going to have to pull them out. They're going to be motorized. And excuse my hand gestures; these don't really mean anything. But like, and then you're going to get three 4K panels. Although I think they talked about having other resolutions as well, like different models. They're still working all that out. But the gist of it is that you get triple monitor gaming in a laptop. And the experience I had was actually kind of interesting because it ran really well, except for the fact that like they were using a production model like Razer Blade laptop with a 1080 in there, and that thing's been running like all day. So the keyboard was like, I think hot enough that you could have cooked the steak on it. So like as soon as I touched it, I was like, whoa, guys.
So
Like,
it's like those YouTube 10,000-degree knife kind of videos, 1,000-degree knife
like in the
videos.
pictures you can't see it in my face, but I was melting. It
Yeah, I
was
see you kind of feeling for the heat right there in that picture.
yeah, no, it was insane. But the gaming experience was really cool. I would definitely love to see the finished version of this. If we ever get one, since you know the other big story coming out of that particular project is that the prototype was stolen at CES, which is like this thing is like three
Yeah.
big displays and a huge laptop. So like it is
If I can
at
find
least 20
the
pounds or more. And like it's not easy to pack away or anything because the functioning prototype we were using didn't actually have the motorized functions yet. They were just sliding out by hand. So I'm like, how does somebody just walk away with this?
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Well, I mean, and on top of that, the laptops, they were actually sitting inside a room, right, which is like only designed for press, you know. But I guess the
I'm
room was
assuming
unlocked, so I
no.
mean,
Well, I'm assuming what happened was I'd have to imagine it happened on the last day when they were packing the booth up. They probably put everything in the boxes, and somebody just grabbed the box and walked away.
yeah, that kind of seemed like what everybody else was talking about on how it
Still,
is
how do you
happened.
get past security with that thing? Like CES is secured, so
Yeah, exactly. There
I
was
don't know. I've
quite a
heard
bit of
like I've heard like rumors that it might be like a hoax on behalf of Razer to like I don't know. I guess get press more press out on the prototype. Which
yeah.
if they did that, it's fucking ingenious. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. At least I know the coverage from the past couple days. Just like most media outlets covered it, and then
The
I know we
BBC
did.
even covered it. The BBC
yeah,
covered it.
BBC covered it. Yeah, exactly. And then did you guys see the recent article too? There was one. Apparently, it was discovered by I think it was like from Engadget China or something. We re-reported it, but yeah, apparently it was discovered for sale uh, online. So we don't know if it was a hoax or not. That page was, I guess, pretty quickly removed, but yeah, apparently it was put on sale for a little bit for like 20 something thousand like US dollars. It was 150,000 Chinese yuan, but that's interesting.
See, we have a little bit of activity in the chat here talking about Vega. We'll get to Vega. I will address all of that if I can. But let's move on to the rest of the Razer booth.
All right,
I mean,
Um,
cool.
he's the GPU guy. This is kind of his job. So
the other thing that Razer was showing off that Sam, you actually had to jump out of, but I got a chance to see it was their Project Ariana, I believe it's called. Project Ariana
Yeah.
Grande. That's what I'm gonna go with. And it's basically a projector, and they're calling it a part of their Chroma suite of peripherals, like the Razer Chroma stuff, like RGB lighting and all that. And essentially, what it does is it's meant for, I guess, the living room. It doesn't. It's not meant to replace your gaming display. It's meant to kind of extend it. So if you're playing on like on a TV, and I think in this demo they gave us, they were playing on a fairly large HDR display. Uh, HDR television, I should say. And basically, on the wall the TV was on, the projector projects more of the game outside of the field of view that the display is showing. So it's not like just taking the image and blurring it and distorting it out and showing it to you for a lighting effect. It's actually giving you more peripheral vision of the game. And it was really, really cool. It's not very sharp in detail, but it's just like that extra like immersion that I really, really like. It's something similar to what Microsoft was showing when they first demoed the Xbox One, I think. They had some kind of like projector system that they were doing that with. But this is like that, but better. I don't know. I'm
Interesting.
really
Yeah.
excited for it. I guess the concern is one, price, and two, how large of a room do you need to be able to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But
And that thing also it was able to take advantage of Razer's rest of like Razer's Chroma stuff as well, and it could like hook into smart lighting and all that to create
yeah,
kind of more of that immersive effect.
yeah, what they did was they had like these smart lights that Razer doesn't make, but supports with their Chroma API, I guess. They were on the side of the person playing, and then they would light up to the effects of the game or something, so give you even more immersion behind you and to your left and right. It was pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like an interesting feature. Did they say anything about when it was going to come out or anything like that? Or
No,
no, it's just all prototype stuff, just like the triple screen laptop, huh?
yeah. Although the projector seemed like it was much more of a finished product in terms of the actual projector itself, I think the big deal is that developers need to support it through their SDK. So they
And
actually need
that's
to
always difficult.
expose to the SDK what resources they want the projector to project, like which parts of the image and all that. So yeah, they were using, I think, Shadow Warrior 2 or something like that. Was the game they were demoing, and that looked really cool. That game seems to be taking advantage of all the new technologies. It's like they were.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's really true, actually.
Yeah, but that's basically it. That's really cool. I want one. That's all I can say. Ariana.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they that at least that one comes to life. I know Razer like to show off a lot of like these crazy future technologies, and a lot of times
A lot of times it's paper.
yeah, a lot of times it doesn't come out. But hey, sometimes like they had that gaming tablet that ended up coming out. I thought that was cool back when I saw it years ago, but
Oh yeah, I remember.
now it's like, well, it was okay, I guess. Isn't that
Yeah.
And
great
their
of a
motion
concept?
control.
I completely forgot about that.
Their motion controllers made it to market too, but those never really were
Caught
adopted.
on.
Yeah.
Which is funny though. Their motion controllers are basically the basis of the controllers that you'll find in the, the HTC Vive and everything. Like it's very similar.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just always ahead of the curve.
Maybe they have the whole they have some of that VR stuff too, but I guess they didn't really show it at the show. But
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, that I guess covers Razer. Yeah. Hopefully they recover their laptops, I guess. And
I don't get what somebody would benefit in taking one
I
of
think
those
they
things.
put a $25,000 bounty on it.
yeah, that's crazy.
I'd give it up for 25 grand. I'm gonna be totally honest with you.
I'd give it up
If I took it, I'd
$25.
give it back.
All right. So it looks like the next thing we have on the list is AMD Ryzen. So well, I mean, CPUs, I guess in general, but Intel didn't. They had their launch, right? They had their launch right when CES started, and then that was kind of like a really quiet launch. I went to the Intel press release, or I mean, the Intel press conference, and pretty much they did not have anything to say. In terms of processors, they did have a little tidbit, and I'm going to pull that up because we did write something on that. They had a little tidbit, during the press conference, and Brian Krzanich he came out and he was like, "Hey, we've got 10 nanometers working on a laptop, but we're not going to bore you with any specs." So, yeah, man, I don't know if it's actually coming or if it's not, but hey.
Oh yeah, they were like, we could have did some benchmarks, but why would we do that?
Yeah,
mean,
maybe he was just like, "Hey, I'm holding up a laptop. I guarantee you guys this is 10 nanometers, but he probably had something else like running inside."
The lovely thing about that could be any laptop.
It could, yeah.
What is this? Oh, this is an AMD A6 laptop from 5 years ago.
It could have been, yeah. But yeah, so aside from Intel's, I guess, lack of anything to show,
Well,
Well,
AMD
I mean,
did
aside
have a
from
lot,
the
right?
aside from the laptop, didn't they actually give a like they said Win 10 nanometer was going to be available?
Oh yeah, they
Or
did. Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
still
By the end of 2017,
yeah.
was when he said, it was coming. It's gonna be ready to go. He was like, yeah, Moore's law is not dead, and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
no comment.
It might not
I,
be dead, but it's in a coma for sure.
yeah.
I will say this though about Cabby. If you were following it closely over the past year or so, you kind of knew what you were getting. Um,
At least I
at
hope you
the
did.
yeah, at the various sort of events during the year, like Intel has their specific event. I think it's Intel Developer Conference (IDF),
Hmm.
and then during Hot Chips, like
Intel
they kind
Developer
of
Forum.
said that it's going to be mostly just an overclocking improvement. And I mean, the chips are hitting 5 gigahertz on air in the wild, so it's not terrible. It's just no IPC gain. So,
What's their new production cycle? TikTok, talk again, talk a little bit more. Uh,
well, they changed
we
it
haven't picked again
to
yet.
they changed it to the third step is optimization. So this is the optimization layer.
I like that. Whenever I hear the word
Yeah.
optimization, I always feel like I'm being like, uh, sold something.
This is the
Yeah.
same thing, just we put a red stripe on it so it's faster.
All
But no,
right.
they did a lot more than that. But yeah, I guess moving on, we got the Ryzen event that you guys all went to that I stayed home for.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Rising event, it was mostly. Well, I mean, Donnie, you kind of had a little more time at the Ryzen event. I had to run off to a different one. Interesting story on that, but
Sam
yeah.
is the
So,
moral of this. The moral of this podcast is Sam is always skipping events to go to different ones. He's always leaving early. Um,
but yeah. Okay.
well,
So we had
you know,
that Ryzen event. It was cool though, right? They showed off like all the motherboards. We had some early coverage of a bunch of different boards. They had system vendors. Like it kind of looked like Ryzen was like done. It's ready. It's ready for launch as soon as AMD decides to give the go ahead. Because like a lot of the times when you see like these launches, it's like, oh well, we can't show the motherboards yet, or there's no system vendors that have systems ready for this. But in AMD's case, at least for these Ryzen motherboards, I mean everything was ready. Like we went in there were systems that were running it. Partner systems were all built and lit up, and there was every board. At least there was like a finished sample of it. So
By the
yeah, and
way,
I mean, it was
you
really
took
nice to
this.
see high-end AMD boards again. Like these all look just as good as the Z270 versions of them, um, which they should because I mean they're using basically the same components for the most part.
hmm
Uh,
I didn't notice many extended ATX boards, so it seems like this
that
is
I didn't see. It was mostly ATX and mini ITX, and I think there was a few micro ATX like mortar boards and stuff like that. Uh,
so so this
MSI
this
mortar, I should say. Uh, but yeah, it was mostly mini ITX and ATX boards.
I will say though that the MSI boards had complete feature parity with the Z270 boards that I was just covering the other day, which was really nice to see. Um,
Alex, I believe you got to talk to them and get some details about the different chipsets and what they represent and how many there is and all that stuff. So, want to cover all that?
yeah, so there is X370, which is the high-end sort of uh, Z270 equivalent
Yeah,
quality board.
that's the
That's
one
the
that you'd get if you want to be overclocking multiple graphics cards, that kind of stuff.
hmm There's also some other I think storage features that are allowed with that one compared to the other ones. Then below that, there's B250, which allows overclocking, but
B
B350.
shouldn't
B350.
B350. Yeah,
Yeah.
B350. Excuse me. Which comes with overclocking features. Although generally, from what I've seen, the 250 boards don't have as many overclocking features as the Z350 board, the Z370 boards.
X370.
X370.
Oh my God! See, this is.
It's getting late
It's
in the
almost
day
like
on a
they're doing it on
Saturday.
purpose.
That's what it is.
It's almost like they did this on purpose, guys.
Yeah. So let's just summarize there.
Yeah.
X370, SLI and overclocking.
The
B350
Yeah.
overclock single GPU
Yep.
only.
And then we also saw some A320, I think, was it? Some of these boards, these smaller boards.
So yeah, and I think the mini ITX. So for enthusiasts, if you want a small system, you're going to want an X300 board, which is the mini ITX version of X370.
Yeah, but we didn't see any at the event, did we?
No, we did. There were mini
we
ITX.
did? Okay.
Yes. Any mini ITX board you've seen there was definitely X300. That's.
It looks like Alex just dropped off. He must have had a really rough day.
I think he was ashamed of himself and he committed seppuku.
That's probably what happened. He was like, "Damn, I can't get these motherboard names right. I'm gonna leave now."
It's his only job.
No, it's like you had only one job: motherboards and CPUs.
Yeah. So, but AMD is really proud of the X300 chipset just because, from what they told me, like the chipset itself is literally like that big, like the size of your fingernail. So that allows for all these I/O features and everything on the small form factor motherboards, which they were never really able to do back with the FX processors. They just, there's no mini ITX boards that are compatible with FX CPUs. They have mini ITX stuff for the APUs, but those also don't have a lot of the nicer features that you'd want in a enthusiast class board. So you can finally have an enthusiast AMD system and a small form factor system rolled into one. So they're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I do like the fact that everything's kind of getting smaller these days, and you're able to do like so much with a relatively small system. So that's pretty cool. I mean, aside from that, yeah, I don't know what happened to Alex, but I guess the show still must go on. So I'm gonna move us into Vega, right? I saw you posted a huge article. You got to meet with
Scott Wasson.
Scott Wasson, yeah, there you go. And he was able to talk you through a bunch of stuff on the Vega side, right?
Yeah. So basically, the only thing they really, was in terms of Vega, they had some demo units that were running Doom at 4K ultra preset, and it was running. I'd say an average around 72 frames per second in the particular level that they were showcasing. But they were talking about 4K 60 FPS. It was doing in excess of that. Which is impressive. It was running under the Vulkan API for any of those of you who are interested in that. What we know about Vega is that it uses HBM2 memory. I believe the amount of which they haven't actually disclosed yet, because they're not really talking about specific SKUs yet. This whole event was mostly to talk about the architecture, although they did confirm that the first Vega GPU will be a high-end one. What price point it will be in, I don't know.
Welcome back.
So
you missed the whole thing about Vega.
Yeah, no.
I'll watch it later.
The biggest feature of the Vega architecture that they broke down for me that I want to get into here is adaptive fine-grained data movement. And what that is basically they showcased a couple of games. I think it was Witcher 3 and Fallout 4. And they said that current games, like modern games, actually allocate more VRAM than they actually need to render out. And what that means is, and I think they said it was about 50%, and they had a chart there. I don't know if you can show that. And what that means is, what they store into the memory, they only use about 50% of that to actually render the frame that you see, to render actual pixels. And that is horribly inefficient, of course, because you're using much more frame buffer than you need to. So with this with a fine-grained data movement, it allows for granular control of the actual assets. So developers can choose specifically which parts that they want to put in the memory that they're actually planning to use to render, so they don't have to use more frame buffer than they need to. And this is allowed because of VEGA's high bandwidth cache, which is what they're calling their frame buffer now, and their new high bandwidth memory controller, which can access not only the high bandwidth cache, but also non-volatile memory like actual storage, SSDs and stuff like that, system RAM, and even network attached storage, which those are case scenarios you're going to see in workstations. But for gaming graphics cards, the ability to access the system RAM much faster means that they can offload a lot more onto the system RAM and still swap in and out without having any of the performance and latency reductions you would normally see today.
So now you're telling me that 128 gigs of RAM is going to be totally useful for gaming, right?
No, but basically what they claim is that essentially that the new technology is going to essentially double your frame buffer. So if today, if you had an 8 gig graphics card with this new technology, it would be more like a 16 gig graphics card because memory wouldn't be what's the word? It wouldn't be used foolishly, I guess. It's a bold statement. I don't know how much of that is actually going to be, seen by the user in terms of performance advantages and all that. But I'm excited to see what it actually does once the cards come out and game developers actually start utilizing the new technology. How much more of a performance advantage are they going to have when you're dealing with the huge textures and stuff like that? The rest of the architecture stuff, they didn't cover everything. They still said there's more to go, but it's a lot of it might be over the heads of most of our viewers. So I'm not going to dwell too deep into that. But if you are interested in that, the article is there to read. I could go for hours talking about it, but we're not going to do that today.
I'm going to be honest with you; it's over my head. So,
Yeah. And Donnie, at the event, you did get a chance to play some games that they say was running Vega.
Yeah, the Doom.
I mean, we didn't really get a chance to examine the card for ourselves, but
they did let Linus Tech Tips though, so you can go out there and see it. It was an actual card running. It wasn't a dragon inside the box or anything like that. That being said,
that's a great idea for MSI's next video card. An actual dragon.
Right? An actual dragon. So, yeah, like I said, I got to play Doom on it in 4K, and it ran spectacularly. That is the best I've ever seen Doom run at 4K. That being said, everyone knows that Doom in Vulkan does really like AMD hardware, so whether or not the Doom performance in 4K is going to translate to other games, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They're still saying that Vega will be out first half of 2017. They haven't given any more specifics in that direction, so I guess it's just wait and see.
Awesome. So you think and there's any chance that Vega might be released anytime in when Ryzen comes out, or it's kind of like it kind of seemed a little raw compared to Ryzen. It seemed kind of raw.
Yeah, I would love to say yes, but I actually don't think so.
Yeah.
Because all the rumors, I think the latest leak was that they were going to have Ryzen out in time for GDC, which GDC is February 27th to March 3rd. So that window does align with the whispers I was hearing before, but I haven't heard anything officially from AMD yet. But Ryzen probably going to be out sooner rather than later. Vega a little later.
Vega seems like there's still some time left in it for them to figure out what they're doing. They seem like they're really, really close with Ryzen. There doesn't seem to be as many specifics or the kind of, I guess, comfort from the reps talking about Ryzen.
Yeah, I kept poking Scott Wasson for more information. He just wasn't having it. So
they were doing the whole PR shutdown thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. Yeah. That was pretty much it, man. They were, at least when we were there, like, I mean, you remember when I tried to take some pictures of the Ryzen like GPU, trying to like take off the side panel? It was like, nope,
Oh,
nope, that's not happening. Like, am I sure there's a Ryzen chip in there? Oh well, it's like, whatever. Guys, like, you could believe me or
sarcastic.
not.
So before we move on, I just wanted to. Sarcastic Elder in the chat said Vega/AMD talk is everywhere. Going to be a lot of disappointed fanboys when it falls on its face when it finally does come out. I mean, all the benchmarks they showed in terms of performance, it looks like it aligns well with the 1080. So it all matters on what the pricing is going to be like. Well, you can say it's going to fall on its face, but if it comes out with 1080 like performance at, I don't know, 299, don't quote that number. It means nothing. It was off the top of my head. But if it was $300 and 1080 performance, would it fall on its face or would it be amazing, right? So it all depends on what the performance they offer and what price point they hit. I don't think it's going to fall on its face at all. I think that the Vega shows a lot of potential because based on the architectural stuff they're doing a lot of new stuff. As a matter of fact, they're not even calling this GCN 4.0 anymore. I don't think they're calling it GCN anymore, to be honest. It seems like they haven't settled on what they're going to be calling it, but it's not GCN. They wouldn't really tell me.
So, on the same point, there's been a lot of people talking about how they feel that Ryzen would be a flop if it can't, say, beat a 6700K at 4.5 gigahertz in gaming benchmarks. And the honest truth is, the 8 core that we keep talking with it, we keep hearing about, is not designed to go up against that product.
Yeah. So.
And that's kind of the argument that I keep hearing, where it's not so much based in what's good for the consumer, but the argument that we want to have to prove to our friends who's got the better hardware. In the end, as long as Ryzen or Vega perform well at the price points that they're aimed at, it would be a success.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, you're getting corrected in the chat. It's called the Next Compute Unit, is what
No,
they're...
that's what they're calling the compute unit for Vega, but that's not the name of the architecture generation. Like, they don't have a name for it yet. Like, I specifically mentioned GCN 4.0, and they were like, no.
Although from what I've heard and what I've read from other places is that it is very, very similar to GCN. Again, I don't really understand GPU architecture well enough to really comment, but that's what I've been hearing.
No, it's still an evolution of their GCN architecture. Mm-hmm. Just like there's still Polaris in there, right? But what I mean is they seem to be going in a new direction in terms of naming it. I think they're going to step away from the GCN naming scheme. It's not going to be GCN 5.0 or 4.1, is what I'm saying. Okay. And again, Next Compute Unit is a different thing. It's part of Vega, but it's not the replacement to the GCN name.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know that much about graphics cards, but yeah, I think you've covered everything that we needed to cover on Vega. So I'm just gonna. So what about Nvidia? So we didn't make it into the Nvidia press conference at the show, unfortunately, right? And we kind of.
I think we were like
ended
5
up.
minutes.
Yeah, we were like 5 minutes late for the thing, and it was the traffic was pretty bad, I guess, and we just didn't make it in time, and so they didn't let us in. But we ended up live. It was funny because we watched the live stream like right outside the AMD like hall that they were showing off all their new Ryzen and Vega stuff. And we're just sitting there with our phones, all watching the Nvidia press conference. But
okay.
yeah, I mean, they didn't really have anything, I guess.
Yeah, the new Shield, which I neglected to even cover in an article because it was just there's no new technology in there. Like, it supports HDR 4K, right?
Yeah.
But
well, they did announce like a GTX 1050 and stuff. Like right before the show. Yeah, like it was before the show though. It seemed like that whole GeForce division didn't even like decide to show up.
I don't think anybody from Activision should shut up. So yeah, they announced the GTX 1050 and 1050 Ti notebooks, which were being showcased in a variety of laptops around CES from the different vendors. I didn't actually get a chance to play with any. I think every meeting I had, nobody had a 1050 laptop. EVGA had the new SE15, but that was using a GTX 1060. So, but they were around. I just didn't meet with any of those vendors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did check out the MSI guys, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, MSI has a G62 that has the 1050. Yeah. I don't know.
Then I missed it.
Must have.
I was looking at the motherboards.
Yeah.
What can I say? I don't like gaming laptops. I don't like. I don't...
All right. Cool. So that's all the stuff that we really wanted to cover for the show. I guess, Donnie, if you want to start off, I mean, what other cool things did you see that, I mean, obviously we're not going to go through all the stuff that we saw at the show since there was quite a bit, but I mean, what'd you find kind of cool that you saw?
Well, if there's one other thing I wanted that we covered was the Nixeus. Is it Nixeus?
Nixeus? Yeah, Nixeus.
Their new monitors that I think we're the only people who have seen them. The only tech outlet that has actually officially seen them. Their new monitors, which are not out yet. I guess they will be out probably. I don't think they gave a specific range, but it should be the 27-inch model should be sooner rather than later. I think sometime in Q1 they're expecting. The first one is a 27-inch 1440p IPS FreeSync monitor. That is actually the world's first FreeSync monitor that is IPS 1440p and has a range of 30 hertz to 144 hertz. I think every other FreeSync monitor that is IPS and 1440p, the lowest they can get down to is about 45 or 50 hertz. And then if they can do 30 to 144, it's a TN panel. So this has all of that. And it's using the exact same panels as like the high-end G-Sync 1440p IPS panels like the Rock Swift and the Predator model. Yeah, it's that same panel.
Yeah, but most of those panels are like very expensive, aren't they?
They are about $600. This is, I believe, they quoted us at $449 is the price they're trying to hit MSRP.
Yeah,
but they said street price it can go down to as low as $399, which that's pretty impressive. I got a chance to play on it. It was fantastic, like no backlight bleeding or anything like that. Which Peter, the rep from Nixeus, specifically told us they could have had the monitor out like last year if they wanted to, but they would have had to release it at 40 hertz, and they wouldn't have gotten everything perfect to make sure there's no backlight bleeding or anything like that. Like
some of the other monitor manufacturers.
Yeah, and that's something I really appreciate about Nixeus is that they take the extra time to make sure the product is right, because they don't want to have to deal with RMAs because they're not a huge company. They can't absorb all those RMA costs. The other thing they were showing us was a prototype of their 4K 60 hertz 32-inch FreeSync monitor. And that one, I think the thing they were really proud of was the fact that it can do 444 chroma subsampling over HDMI 2.0. And I guess this is a feature that people want to see. I don't know. This is something I've never really thought I needed. But apparently, usually if you want 444 at 4K, you need to use like DisplayPort. That there are no actual monitors, or not many at least, that can do that. And theirs would be one of the first. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. The 32-inch 4K monitor definitely looks impressive, but for me, I'm a gamer, so I can't wait to get my hands on that 1440p IPS and 144 hertz display.
Yeah, Yeah, and that one's coming out in the first quarter as well, right? Or at least they're shooting for it to come out
For
in the
the
first quarter.
32-inch one, I think it's going to be a little later.
But the
They're still
27
working on
was coming up.
yeah, the 27-inch. They're literally waiting on FreeSync certification, and then it's going to be out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I remember they when they were talking like the suite that they were staying in was literally like a couple floors or something like below where the AMD FreeSync guy, like certification guy was or something like that, right? And so they were like, "Yeah, we're going to get this done like really quick."
You got to say that's the motivation there.
Yeah. But all right. So, yeah, that covers the Nixus unless there's something else.
I mean, I thought the Phanteks what is the name of it? The Enthoo Elite.
Enzo Elite, or if you're Jace 2 cents, it's the Enzo Primo Ultra.
Which sounds like a great product name, anyways. I kind of like that one better, to be honest with you.
I like Enzo Elite because I don't have to say so many words.
Super mega ultra best case.
Yeah, but that one was pretty cool. I think we actually saw a system build in it. I don't know if we posted about that yet, but
Power PC.
yeah, at Cyber Power PC they had like it was a massive system, but it was pretty cool because like they had a mini ITX portion of the system where they had that, and then they had like a full like PC build as well, all in the same box, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
they
for
were.
Cyber Power PC, that's I believe their pro streamer lineup. They're using the Enzo Elite now, so you can have a streaming PC and a gaming PC in one box, which is really awesome. I mean, they've been doing that for a couple of years, but the Enzo Elite is like the best case in the world for that right now.
Well, I mean, because you can have like 30 hard drives, a ton of room for all your radiators and water cooling. You can literally do whatever you want in that case. It is really expensive, but it is the only case that you would ever need, kind of thing. I just think it's very interesting to see companies go, I guess, push the boundaries on what you would find in a case so hard,
Yeah.
Because Thermaltake has come out with their one of their tower cases. I forget what it was called. You know the one I'm talking about that was basically like a server rack.
Mm-hmm.
But that was not as nice as this. This is an absolutely premium product. I mean, you could see Sam's showing the pictures of it in the exploded view. Like, you can take the whole thing apart and change out whatever you want.
Yeah,
plus,
I just
RGB
really like
LEDs.
that those like magnetic like panels that
Mhm.
it was pretty awesome. Like opening it for the first time, and it was like like I was looking for the screws and stuff, and just like nothing. It's like magnets. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And you said they're going to change the door hinge system that they're using on the Enthoo Elite to a couple other cases? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah. So another new case that they had was was basically they made a tempered glass version of the original Evolve, not the ATX version, but the micro ATX version, because people wanted that. But with that version, I remember my biggest problem with the Evolve ATX tempered glass when I reviewed it is that the tempered glass side panel went on with 4 thumb screws. So you were like doing this juggling act when you were taking it off, and it was just so much of a pain in the ass. And I said that in the article, and they listened because with the smaller version, they put it on a hinge and had magnets, so it just swings open, which is fantastic. They also said that particular I'll say technology should make it to their other cases. Like they're thinking of redoing the Evolve tempered glass as well with the new type of side panel. So I hope they do, because if they do, I might actually use one on a daily basis. Because I can't to use it for my system. I'm always taking components in and out. To have to pull off that glass side panel, like I always thought I was gonna break it.
Yeah, you feel a little uncomfortable doing it because I had
Plus the thing weighs a fuck ton, so you're like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
reviewed the D-Frame Mini, and that was a little awkward, and I always felt like I was going to shatter the glass in half because it's tempered glass, you know. And
Yeah.
these are long, thin panes of glass. Um, but yeah, no, I look forward to it. And I think they said that they wanted to throw it to the rest of the cases. I don't know if you might have said that already.
It's something that they plan on. Yeah, that the magnetic swinging door thing is something they plan on bringing to all their tempered glass cases eventually. It's just, I guess, for them, it's a matter of the tooling and the timing, right? Um,
Hmm.
but that's the thing I like about Phanteks so much is that they're always iterating on their cases. Like they don't just can't like here's a brand new model. It's like no, we've changed a few things and this is the newest version of the Evolve ATX tempered glass.
Yep. Awesome, awesome. So, yeah, I guess that's all the time we have for all this stuff. There's definitely a lot more stuff that we checked out. We checked out some VR stuff. HTC had a couple things to show. Unfortunately, no new headsets on the VR side, so that was kind of a bummer. But I guess we kind of expected that going in, so nothing new there. Yeah, so I mean, most I think of CES was really, at least for the hardware guys, I think it was probably the whole AMD thing. They definitely had kind of like the best showing of CES. So
I mean, they actually showed products, so
yeah,
that was the
exactly,
big
right.
thing.
Well,
Yeah,
they kind of showed products. They showed motherboards.
yeah. So
Hey man,
I guess we'll go ahead and end it. But before we end it, I just wanted to do a little segment to close out. That just wanted to show off some what you thought was just some cool products, I guess, that you have or what you saw at CES or whatnot. Um, so yeah, at least for me, I have here. It's kind of like a USB cable that I got from actually the Silverstone suite. Unfortunately, I didn't post an article on that, but yeah, it's a I guess it's a reversible micro USB cable. I didn't actually know they had that until I visited their suite, and they were like, "Here, have one of these. Thanks for stopping by." And I thought that was really cool because like
So you mean
I
it's a
didn't.
micro USB cable, but it works both ways?
Yeah, it works both ways. Like I'll show you, like right here.
I should have stole. I wish I would have known you
Look,
had that.
well,
I would've
look,
stole-
look. It works like this way, right? And then I can reverse it, and then I can plug it in this way. No crap. There you go, and it works.
Uh,
Yeah,
I
I didn't know they had that. I thought you had to go USB-C or something for that, but they got it.
I've heard of like these kind of cables before. I didn't know Silverstone made any. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty
I
cool.
don't know if they actually make it or if they source it from somewhere, but they do have
Yeah,
those
they don't
cables.
literally
So
manufacture those cables. I can promise you that. But still, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Uh, the thing
what
I
do you
thought was
have?
cool, I think we saw it together, was that OmniCharge portable power bank. I don't know if you can
Oh
bring up,
yeah, yeah. I'll
um,
go ahead and bring that up.
but like so when you go to CES, you get bombarded with power banks. Like Anchor just threw one at me, a 20,000 milliamp hour one that like I think it almost concussed me by the way because they literally chucked it at me. Uh,
take
but
it, cover our
but it's
stuff.
okay, I survived. But this one, the thing that's amazing about this is that it actually has an AC inverter in it, so you can plug in an actual like a laptop. That anything that plugs into a regular AC outlet that doesn't work on direct current, it can charge, and it's still the size of a regular battery bank. If you've ever dealt with an actual AC inverter before, you know that they're loud, they're large, uh, and there's no way you could just throw one in your backpack, right? But this, you can fit it in your bag, and you can fucking get extra play hours out of your fucking laptop or, you know,
Yeah,
whatever
well,
else.
they were actually powering a monitor there too, like just directly from the. I think they had the 20,000 milliamp hour one. They had the or they had the monitor plugged into the 20,000 milliamp hour one. But I mean, it was powering like a 24-inch monitor or something. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
look, you're not going to power like a full fucking fledged desktop on this thing for, well, you
Yeah,
could maybe for about five
yeah.
minutes. Uh, but it's still like to be able to put that in your laptop bag and know that you have an extra battery basically is really cool. So that's probably one of the coolest things I've seen. That's just like, as far as a utility kind of tool goes.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Cool.
and I swear they didn't sponsor this or anything like that. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
no. We
really
we
like,
just saw it. Yeah, it was really neat. So Alex, you
If they were
got you got
sponsoring, it would have
something
been.
you got something interesting to that you wanted to share
other than your
before we
Um,
old.
close out?
not really, honestly. Not this
No,
week.
not this week.
Maybe next week.
All right. Well. All right.
Okay, I
Well.
guess that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you all for watching. Or I guess there's like only three of us watching now. But either way, thank you guys for watching our first podcast, and be sure to like our Facebook. Follow
Yep.
us on Twitter
Uh,
and subscribe to the channel, of course. And yeah, I guess we'll catch you guys on the next podcast.
cool. Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.